A Danish bank is offering negative interest rates. And what are the likes and dislikes of working in real estate? Tune into Toole Time right now. I'm Tom Toole. She is Jess Lion. We are back on Toole Time, and we've got a very interesting piece of news coming from Europe, which is negative interest rates are being offered by Jyske Bank, which is a Danish bank, and they have a 10-year mortgage that comes with a negative 0.5% interest rate, which means that borrowers will be handed money, and meaning their balance gets reduced by more than what's paid each month. What do you think about all this? What are the repercussions here?
It may work overseas. I don't think it would work here. I think it would be actually pretty detrimental to all of our buyers. I feel like it would raise prices of houses. I feel like people would buy more of a house than they could actually afford. Where are they even going to get this money from? I think the article said they're going to be tapping into investors and things like that to get the money. So I just don't think it would work for us here. It doesn't make sense. And why would they just not do no interest rate instead of negative? Why am I none?
Well, what are they in business for, right? I mean, part of business is to make a profit, and they're what they're saying here is you're right that they don't give you the money directly in hand, but every month your debt is reduced by more than you pay, and what they're doing is they have the ability to do this because they have negative interest rates that they borrow from investors that they work with. I don't understand
bring in that
this
middleman.
But that's banks always have investors, so that's fine. But you're there to make a profit. I'm in a for-profit business. Banks are not non-for-profit. The Zillow director of economic research, Skylar Olson, said that a lot of the skeptics are right, and despite the lure of being paid to take a loan, a lot of American home buyers wouldn't want negative rates to reach our shores because a lot of people think that might be a stimulus, like they think of low rates, and rates are already historically low. We're at less than 4%.
Yeah.
The thing they left out of their statement, what I thought was interesting, is that banks across Europe, including Denmark and Asia, have been dramatically cutting rates in the hope of warding off a dramatic economic downturn, and the cuts are meant to boost money supply in the economy as well as demand. And when you look at Denmark's central bank, the rate cut was less than 0.25% in 2015. The country is only at 0.05%, so 0.05% is what their interest rate is. So that's almost zero. And the euro area has a zero rate as well. So even though they have this, we have the Fed just cut rates, that would probably tank housing prices because the lack of creditworthy buyers and higher home prices. And the downside is that only very, very exceptional borrowers are going to have access to these dreamlike mortgages. That's not the average person that's buying a home.
No.
So I don't see how this makes any sense. I think it's crazy that a bank's doing this.
See how that would help.
I wouldn't be surprised if that bank fails, just like the banks failed here. So this is a pretty dramatic story here, and it's going to lead to higher prices. And there's already people complaining about affordability, even though affordability is pretty high for buyers right now because that's determined not by price, but by rates, by income, those sort of factors. So I'm just not seeing how this would help the U.S. at all, and I don't see how it helps Denmark, to be very clear.
Absolutely not. I think it would do a disservice. Absolutely.
See you later, Jyske Bank. The next story comes from a survey that was done by Redfin, and this news broke the beginning of August, and it was a survey of real estate professionals about their jobs, and 99% of them said they were very proud of how they serve their clients. Big surprise. I don't really. Great job. Way to self-evaluate. More importantly, what I found interesting was what they like and what they dislike. So there were. Looks like there was seven categories here. So the number one thing people liked was relationships with customers. Second was entrepreneurial independence. Third was helping people whose lives were in transition. Fourth is love of real estate. Fifth is art of the deal. Sixth is ability to generate significant wealth. And seventh, the thrill of the hunt, finding clients, closing sales. So what I gained from that was there was a lot of helping people in there. There was also, I like doing this sort of thing on a daily basis. So like love of real estate. Now that to me, it says they like properties.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's going to drive you to be a real estate agent.
And
if you do, then you're probably going to be of that the big percentage who drops out.
Well, and more what I saw is the thrill of the hunt, finding clients, closing sales. That's liking what you do.
Yeah.
Being an entrepreneur was number 2. So there was a lot of good things in there. I really like the helping people aspect because that's one of the reasons I got into real estate. That's one of our core values is service. So what do you think about all the likes, Jess?
That one, like you said, helping people really speaks to me. Like the clients, I had a client who settled yesterday who was a mother. She had younger mother. She has 3 kids. She wanted to get her kids out of a bad neighborhood. And she had a baby on Friday and was like, I'm going to do this. I can't, I need to settle. The baby was early. Settled on her house on a Thursday. She was determined. That was something I never even heard before. So, stories like that, helping her find a house, I mean, that really moves me on the inside, and that's why I'll do it no matter what the price point. It could be $100,000, it could be $600,000. So that's really why I'm in it, and I know you're the same.
Well, that's one of the reasons. I'm going to say that's the only reason. But it's more that you definitely have the ability to help people. That's because you're not just helping them with that situation. You're also helping them from the other 87% of agents that are going to be out of the business in 5 years that have no idea what they're doing. That's like going to a bad accountant, and then you have this huge tax bill you never anticipated.
And you're screwed.
Or you're going to a bad lawyer. They give you the wrong advice, and you're going to jail for. I mean, these are things that happen in real life. So when I hear helping people, I'm also trying to protect them from the people that don't know what they're doing, which is the majority of the industry.
Protector, I like that.
So let's talk about the dislikes.
I love these. I like the dislikes better than the likes.
Interesting to me. So 42% of people said they dislike the unpredictability of income, 38% hard to find customers, and then it dropped off dramatically into the 20s. So 23% absolute amount of income, 21% always being on call, 18% unreasonable or abusive customers, 15% working evenings and weekends. That's kind of the same as the 21%. 10% lone wolf, lack of training and support, and 9% lack of career growth. So I've got some very clear views on this. What do you think about all this, Jess?
Yeah, I think we can debunk, scratch off all of these. Unpredictability of income. I think that a lot of people talk about real estate, we've said it, 90-day, up and down, things like that. And what you and our leadership team always kind of drives in for us is if you're consistent, if you're doing what you're supposed to do on a daily basis and not doing what a lot of realtors do where they make a big deal and they let their foot off the gas, and then in 90 days, you're going to have kind of this stale spot where you're not making any money. So if you just keep your foot on the gas, your income probably won't be as unpredictable.
The answers to this survey are why people fail in real estate.
Yeah.
It is so clear to me. Hard to find customers. It's not hard to find customers. It's hard to get up every day and go to work and find the people that need your help. It's the boredom of doing that every day no matter what. A lot of people expect the phone to ring. Guess what? There's 1.4 million agents in the country, the highest number ever. So there's a lot of choices. So what are you doing to differentiate yourself? Being on call, working evenings and weekends. So
that's the job. That's a lot of jobs.
Any job where you're going to have a high income or where you want to be really successful, it's not going to be 9 to 5.
No.
It doesn't work that way. You talk to an attorney or an accountant or you talk to a doctor. Doctors they're not working 9 to 5. Maybe an orthodontist. I think that's the only one because there's no real emergencies there. My orthodontist client had said this to me, but every other doctor, there's an emergency. There's things that happen.
Yeah.
The best professions, if you really want to go for it, Nick, our videographer here, he got back from Summit. We worked a 13-hour day the one day. It was nuts, right? So, but that's because he likes what he's doing, and it's something that's important to him. So when people say they don't want to always be on call, well, that tells me you don't want to be successful.
Absolutely.
That's and especially when you're getting started. When they talk about unpredictability of income, that's because you don't show up and work every day. Real estate, people look at it as I'm going to go sell houses. What I find the most successful agents do, they have a specific schedule every day. Because
routine.
If you go back to the likes, entrepreneurial independence. You know who the hardest working people are right now in the country? Entrepreneurs, because they're trying to get their business off the ground, and every realtor should be adopting the same thing. So when I see this tells me these are all the reasons why people fail, because they think it's going to be easy. They get into real estate. They're going to sell their friends a couple houses. They have no concept of expenses versus income, or what it's going to cost them, or their value of time, and they really have no business training. And that's why realtors get a bad reputation.
Yeah, I feel like when they say we like it entrepreneurial independence, I think people say to themselves, I get to make my own schedule and I get to do whatever I want, and it's kind of the opposite.
Well, I make my own schedule, and it's just way more aggressive than other people that are, I would say 95% of the population.
I don't have to work on weekends. I can take vacation for a month and a half. Like, it's not how it really works.
And that's why this survey, all these people think these are people that shouldn't be realtors.
The only one that I did agree with was abusive customers. Like, if you have an abusive customer, then maybe, like, you have the choice to cut that off. But
so then I'll take it back to the main things people didn't like, just to counter you on that a little bit, that when you lead generate, you don't have to tolerate, right? And sometimes those abusive people, they're abusive because of the tension involved in the transaction. We just went over versatile selling, where it talks about emotional tension versus task tension, and that's because they're stressed out about what's going on, because it's really stressful buying a house. So I don't take it personally there. I know it's hard to kind of build that up. It's almost like a muscle, or even like a callus. Yeah. So that one I hear you on. And it's also because a lot of these people, that's the only clients they can get, and they can't get clients that are going to want a trusted advisor and have that trust and that predictability in the way they're going to work with their agents. So, interesting survey, but it just shows me that just like every other year in the real estate industry, 87% of the current agents are going to be out of the business in 5 years, if that's how they're responding.
Absolutely.
So we got some motivation, more post-Tom Ferry Summit speakers, which I'm pretty excited about. So this one comes from Tom Bilyeu of Impact Theory. He built the company Quest. It is a billion-dollar company, and he was actually on we talked about this quote a couple weeks ago on the 5 a.m. call, thanks to my buddy Byron Lazine up on the Connecticut shoreline. So obsessed equals boredom by doing the hard thing. So what does that mean to you, Jess?
Well, I think a lot of people think of boredom as like a bad thing and maybe like a result of being lazy. But if you're doing something that is so one track and so boring and it's very consistent but it has to be hard what you're doing. It's like hard work. That kind of makes it an obsession, and that's the only way you're really going to move the needle, like doing those boring, hard things consistently. Like you were saying, making a lot of calls every day. Like you're almost distracted. Like I should be doing something else. Like multitasking may not be the best solution there. So if you really just zone in, double down on the hard work.
Well, that came to mind when I heard the quote, because a lot of agents, they sit there and they say, I don't like making calls, I don't like picking up the phone. Well, they don't like selling houses if that's the case. I mean, that's really my view of that, because it's the boring thing and the hard thing to do that every day. You look at other jobs or other companies that are out there. I mean, you think about just trying to get in shape. I mean, getting in shape and like health and wellness are such a great comparison, because when you're like running, if you let's say running is what you do, and you're running like 6-7 miles,
it gets boring.
Well, it's the hard thing, and it can get boring. So you have to almost become obsessed with it. Yeah. I mean, riding a stationary bike or weightlifting. I mean, all those things. Like, it's boring going to the gym every morning and seeing the same people and doing the same thing over and over again. Those are the people that are obsessed, and it has to be boring because it's the same repetitive action every day. If you look at the most successful athletes, right, like Steph Curry for the Golden State Warriors, he shoots hundreds of three-point shots a day, hundreds of them. Do you think he's bored doing that? Probably. He's going to the gym, nobody's there, or maybe a couple teammates. So that's
the most exciting
But
thing.
He's obsessed with becoming the greatest shooter of all time. I'm not saying he is, but I know that's what he wants to do. And you see the same thing with all these people and the way they work out and they try to become masters at their craft. So, I mean, to me, he was talking about digging like a pit, Tom Bilyeu, and like he was obsessed with it, but it was really hard. I mean, I wouldn't want to dig anything. So to me, it's if you're going to be obsessed, you got to do something that's so boring, but it's the reason it's going to get you to your goals.
Yeah, I agree.
If you haven't watched Tom Bilyeu, check out Impact Theory. It's on YouTube. Highly, highly recommend
He's
him.
awesome. I loved his speech at the summit. It was awesome.
Well, and you look at him. I mean, he's going through all this stuff himself. I mean, if you go on his like social media, I mean, there's this picture of him and he's like fat and overweight, and then all of a sudden now he's in this like great shape and he's ripped. And so I mean, that's someone who's not just saying, "Hey, this is what you need to do." He actually did it, and he built $1 billion company, and now he's going around talking about how to help other people achieve their dreams. And that's what, it's really the ultimate give back, and he's inspiring a lot of people out there. So I was pretty pumped I missed him. I flew home the day before, but I missed him twice actually at Tom Ferry event, so I'm kind of pissed about that. But anyway, we'll be back next week. Thanks for watching.